After 5 years of mockery, classmates invite the loser only to discover he's worth 100M. Jake had always been the quiet one in Cedarville. At 25, he was a palpable mix of resilience and silent ambition. While his classmates roared with laughter at parties and chased after fleeting popularity, he sat alone in his room, hunched over a flickering computer screen late into the night. His fingers danced over the keyboard, coding his dreams into existence, while he balanced his family responsibilities, his mother working 2 jobs and his father always away on military duty. Despite their sacrifices, whispers about him, the so-called loser, echoed through school halls, laughter trailing off after comments about his tech entrepreneur aspirations, dismissing them like yesterday's news. As graduation neared, Jake became a ghost. He watched as his classmates bounced from one social circle to another, yet their carefree lives only fueled his determination. Smiles for his parents felt like a mask for the ache in his heart. Their sweat and sacrifices writhed against the whispers of his peers. Ugh, it was exhausting. 5 long years passed, an uphill battle fought in silence, but he still believed in perseverance. All the late nights at his computer had to mean something, didn't they? One fateful evening, an announcement buzzed through town like wildfire. A reunion was planned for Cedarville's graduating class. The same classmates who had labeled him as a nobody sent out invites, chuckling at the thought of bringing Jake along for a laugh, a perfect punchline to their nostalgic jokes. Little did they know what was about to unfold. The night arrived, crisp air laced with memories and laughter. As the crowd swelled, anticipation filled the room until the door swung open. It was Jake this time, not the skinny, awkward boy they once knew. Confidence emanated from him, each step purposeful. He didn't just walk in, he radiated success. The atmosphere shifted as jaws dropped in disbelief. There stood Jake, the once forgotten, now cradling the results of years of hard work, a thriving tech company worth millions. "Hey, everyone," he said, his voice steady. The silence was heavy as emotions swirled: shock, jealousy, regret. One classmate muttered, "No way," while another's eyes widened, attempting to reconcile the boy they once mocked with the man before them. Tension crackled in the air as Jake revealed his story: the late nights, the sacrifices, the failures and triumphs. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. Jake stood there, heart pounding, facing childhood bullies who had sown seeds of doubt in his mind. His story became a moment of reckoning, a chance for healing, understanding, and vulnerability. "You laughed at me," he said, voice trembling but resolute. "But I never let that stop me." The past clung uncomfortably as old wounds opened, and the unspoken truth seeped in, a longing for redemption, for connection, for forgiveness. But could such a reunion lead to healing in a place once dominated by ridicule? As Jake prepared to unveil what lay ahead, an opportunity for collective growth or further estrangement, he knew he had a choice to make. In that heated moment, the question hung in the air: could he forgive those who had never believed in him? The echoes of laughter suddenly seemed distant. The weight of acceptance felt infinitely closer. Jake's eyes scanned the crowd, searching for a hint of acknowledgement, anything that would indicate they felt even a fraction of the weight he had carried. He caught sight of Sarah, the girl who once distanced herself from him at lunchtime, whispering with her friends, the sparkle in her eyes now dulled by the surprise. He took a deep breath, steadying himself for what he was about to say. "I want to show you that success isn't a straight path." His voice broke slightly, but he pressed on. It's filled with stumbles and detours. I remember every hurtful word, every snicker. But I also remember the nights spent coding in my room, creating something that would eventually change my life. Murmurs rippled through the room. Some classmates exchanged nervous glances, while others leaned in, curiosity piqued. Jake felt a flicker of excitement. Despite the tension, he was finally at the center of attention, but this time it was T for being the target of ridicule. It was for his achievements. 5 years ago, I thought the world was against me. I didn't have friends cheering me on. I had to learn to be my own biggest supporter. His words resonated, echoing in the silence that had fallen. I turned that pain into fuel. As he shared his story, Jake saw transformation in the faces before him. The laughter that once echoed in hallways turned into whispers of respect and regret. He detailed the struggles of building his tech startup, the countless setbacks and near failures that felt like mountains that would never move. Tears stung the corners of his eyes, as he recalled nights when hope felt just out of reach. There was something profoundly liberating in sharing not just his success, but the journey that led him here, the mistakes, the loneliness, and the late-night doubts. It was more than a story of wealth. It was about resilience and the undying ember of hope. A hand raised timidly. Jake, what made you keep going? Why didn't you give up? It was Ben, the one who had turned bullying into an art form back in school. The question hung heavy in the air. Jake could feel his heart racing. Was this an attempt to truly understand? Because I believed that I could be more than what everyone said. I wanted to prove that the narrative they created was the only ending. The impact of his words rippled through the crowd. Even those who once jeered felt a pang of shame. As Jake finished, silence blanketed the room like a soft embrace. He had shared not just his triumphs, but the heartache and loneliness that came with it. The audience stared at him with a mix of admiration and sorrow, perhaps realizing they had all been playing a role in this story, even those who had mocked him. Suddenly, a voice broke free from the crowd. Megan, one of the popular girls, who had always been on the sidelines. I'm sorry for everything, Jake. Her voice trembled, but she stood firm, the ache of reflection clear in her eyes. It was a moment of reckoning, forcing others to confront their past actions. Jake felt warmth swell in his chest. Maybe this was the beginning of a new chapter of bridging of old wounds. Thank you, Megan. Forgiveness isn't about excusing what was done. It's about freeing yourself from the chains of bitterness. The words hung in the air, igniting a flicker of hope. Would others join the conversation too? What would it take for the crowd to embrace this moment as a stepping stone toward healing rather than a point of judgment? His heart pounded fiercely as more classmates started to murmur apologies, their voices weaving a tapestry of redemption that he had yearned for. How many of these apologies could mend the past? As the first honest conversation broke out, Jake stood at the precipice, seeing not just the faces of his past, but the possibility of a shared future. But just as the room began to buzz with newfound energy, the door creaked open again, and a familiar figure stepped inside, one Jake never expected to see at this reunion. Would this unexpected arrival shift everything he had started to build, or could it solidify his path to forgiveness? The murmur sliced through the room, like a sudden gust of wind stirring fallen leaves. Jake's heart nearly stopped as he turned to see who had entered. It was Matt, the ringleader of his tormentors. The confident strides, the casual smirk, it all felt like stepping back in time, back to a place Jake had fought so hard to escape. Matt's eyes scanned the room, landing on Jake. The moment stretched, heavy and uncertain. Some classmates shifted awkwardly, their faces a blend of recognition and confusion, while Jake felt the blood rush to his cheeks. Here was the boy who had made him question his worth time and again. Jake, Matt called out, and the air pulsed with tension. Nice to see you looking successful. His tone dripped with sarcasm, the glimmer of old habits surfacing. Jake felt a rush of emotions flood his chest: anger, fear, and surprise. What was Matt doing here? Had he heard about Jake's achievements and come to mock him one last time? But before he could speak, the crowd shifted. There were whispers again, the kind that brought new life to the once stagnant atmosphere. Megan stepped forward, her face stern and resolute. "What is your problem, Matt?" Jake literally just opened up about his life. "People are trying to make amends here." Matt shrugged, feigning indifference, but Jake saw the bravado falter just a bit. "Amends? Are you kidding? This loser only wants the spotlight. How can any of you actually believe he has changed?" The words sliced through Jake like a knife. It felt like being pulled back when he had just climbed so high. Sarah, who had earlier been part of the supportive crowd, stepped forward too. "You don't get it, do you? We've all changed. The past doesn't define us anymore." A flicker of doubt crossed Matt's face, but Jake could tell he was fighting against it. Whatever, it's all just a show, right?" He motioned dismissively, but Jake saw the might of the crowd beginning to shift. Suddenly, an uncomfortable silence fell over the room as Jake struggled to gather his thoughts. Every nerve in his body screamed at him to fight back, to unleash all the hurt that had built up over the years. A part of him wanted to scream, to call out the injustices, but instead, he took a deep breath. "I'm not perfect, and I never will be," he said, his voice steady, yet the vulnerability hung in the air. "I was hurt, and I hurt back. But I found strength in rising from that, in building a world where I am proud of who I've become. You can choose to stay trapped in your old ways, or you can help us build something better." Matt shifted on his feet, the sneer slowly fading, replaced by something resembling uncertainty. The room waited, breaths collectively held. The specter of childhood judgment hung over them, but could it really be dispelled here tonight? Megan's face softened. "It's time for all of us to stop living in the past. We have the chance to make new memories." As Jake watched the flickers of thought ripple through the crowd, he realized this might be what he had hoped for, a true awakening. Would they really embrace the possibility of forgiveness, of growth? Matt's expression revealed a shift, a crack in the facade. But would he admit it? Just as the tension broke, the familiar shimmer of a notification startled Jake from his thoughts. He glanced at his phone, puzzled. A message flashed on the screen, one that could either confirm or shatter everything he'd built. "Urgent. We need to talk. It's about your company. Call me." The familiar name that appeared on his screen sent a jolt through him, intertwining the past and present in a way he never expected. The room faded, the murmurs around him a distant hum as he stared at the screen, anticipation and dread swirling inside him. In that moment, everything felt poised on the edge. Would this new revelation solidify his rebirth, or would it bring back a storm he wasn't ready to face? Jake's grip on his phone tightened as the notification pulsed back to life. It was like a dam had burst inside him, memories and emotions flooding through. The chaotic laughter in his mind echoed the teasing sounds of his childhood. "Jake? Are you okay?" Megan's voice cut through the cacophony. Her worry pulled him back to the present. He glanced at her, seeing the concern etched across her face. The tension in the room had shifted. His classmates were waiting. They wanted him to say something, build on the moment. But all he could think of was that message. "Yeah, just give me a second," he stammered. He needed to breathe, to center himself. Matt shifted his weight from one foot to another, his smirk replaced by an unexpected seriousness. "What is up? Something important?" His tone was sharper now, the bravado slipping away as he caught a glimpse of the vulnerability beneath Jake's surface. Instead of sparring over words with Matt, Jake turned to the crowd, feeling their collective gaze on him. "This, right now, it's about change," he started, relishing the warmth of their presence. The faces in front of him felt like a canvas, each one capable of something beautiful if they allowed it. And sometimes change comes with surprises. Everyone should be proud of where they've come from, no matter what the past looks like. He hesitated for a moment before continuing, but some of us have surprises that come back too. Like this message. Jake raised his phone, letting its glow catch everyone's attention for a fleeting moment, before lowering it again. Is it about work? Sarah asked, curiosity piqued. Something like that. It's about a company I've built. A lot has changed. The words tumbled from his lips, tentative but charged with something real. He could see the interest sparking among his classmates as they leaned in. No way. You started a business? Megan's eyes were bright with excitement. Yeah. It's been crazy, Jake admitted, trying to sound casual. I went from not feeling like I had any value to running a successful company. It's been wild and honestly scary. Dude. Matt's voice broke through, somewhere between awe and disbelief. What kind of business? Jake felt a pulse of warmth that he hadn't expected. It felt liberating to speak openly. A tech startup. It's been a lot of setbacks, but I just kept pushing forward. I figured if I could make it through the worst times, I could handle anything. But why now? Why this place? Matt asked, a hint of genuine inquiry in his tone. While he could still sense the echo of past hurt, Jake could also feel a thread of camaraderie weaving through the air, one he hadn't anticipated. Because change isn't just for me, it's for all of us. We can redefine who we are. We can be stronger together. As murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd, Jake's heart filled with hope. The past was still present, but so was the chance for something better. Then, reality crashed back into the moment as he remembered the urgency of the message. The invitation to something pivotal, the chance to collaborate, to reach out not just to casual acquaintances, but to someone from a time he wished to leave behind. Let me call, he said suddenly, an idea forming. Maybe I can share this journey with all of you. Maybe this message unlocks something bigger. He pulled his phone out, and with the room hanging on his every move, pressed call. As the ringing tone filled the silence, Jake's heart raced a mixture of fear and undeniable excitement. The call connected, and a voice answered on the other line. Jake? We need to talk about the board's decision. Jake's breath caught in his chest. The door was opening wider, but would he step through? The emotion coursed through him. This was a chance to redefine everything, not just for himself, but for all of them. His future was here, waiting on the other end of the line, but would he be able to seize it? Jake swallowed hard, his brain whirring as the voice on the other end continued. We knew you'd want to weigh in on this, given your last proposal. The words crackled through the receiver, pulling him out of his reverie. Write the proposal, Jake replied, his voice steadier than he felt. He hadn't expected to be pulled back into the world he'd stepped away from, but here he was flung into a whirlwind of opportunities. The air in the room thickened. He could feel the weight of his classmates' anticipation pressing down on him. Megan stepped closer, her gaze locked on him, eyes shimmering with a mix of admiration and curiosity. A silent question passed between them. Would he embrace this moment of transformation, or retreat back to the shadows of his past? Jake, the board is looking for someone to lead this next phase, the voice continued, sounding more urgent now. We thought you'd be a perfect fit. His palms were clammy, but there was no ignoring the spark inside him. He could feel it building, an electric energy, a potent cocktail of fear and excitement. Was he really ready to step back into a role he had once abandoned? Let me think about it, he said, needing time to weigh the possibilities, but the words felt foreign as they slipped out. Did he truly want to ponder it, or was he just stalling for time? Matt cleared his throat, his expression shifting from skepticism to encouragement. Dude, they're asking for you. This might be your chance to show them who you are now, he chimed in, his voice full of unexpected support. Yeah, what is the worst that could happen? Sarah added, standing beside Megan. You have a chance to redefine your story. Jake glanced around the room, noting the varied reactions. Megan beamed, Matt looked determined, while others wore expressions of disbelief mixed with cautious hope. It was a moment unlike any other, one that brought the past and present crashing together like waves against the shore. The voice on the line broke into his thoughts again. Jake? Are you still there? We need your answer. He hesitated, feeling the pull of ambition and the weight of doubt. With every second, he could feel the tug of memories those days when he felt unseen, like a ghost in the halls of his own school. The laughter that had once stung now felt like a badge of resilience. I'll do it, he said. The words came out, strong and confident. A rush of adrenaline surged through him, and the room erupted in soft murmurs. It was exhilarating. He had chosen to navigate the storm instead of hiding from it. Awesome! Megan exclaimed, her face alight with enthusiasm. Jake dared to glimpse at his peers, who erupted into cheerful chatter. There was no animosity, only camaraderie. Matt clapped him on the back. This is unbelievable, man. You're really doing it. As cheers echoed in the classroom, Jake noticed something shift within himself. He felt the shackles of his past starting to loosen, fading into just memories, while hope surged like never before. But then, another messenger notification chimed on his phone, pulling him back again. He glanced down, and his heart sank slightly. Another name from his past glowed on the screen. Jake, what is it? Megan asked, noticing the change in his demeanor. Just another message, he muttered, barely able to maintain the smile that had just begun to bloom. What is the word? Matt pressed, swallowing his initial excitement. Jake hesitated, the unfamiliar knot of anxiety twisted in his stomach. It's an invitation. An invitation tied to secrets he had buried deep that could either show him the belonging he craved or dredge up memories he worked hard to escape. And as the room buzzed with excitement about his newfound opportunity, he held the weight of a decision that could change everything once again. Now his heart raced, poised on a ledge between two worlds. What would he do next? Would he reach out to a past that could crush his momentous victory, or was he ready to brave whatever lay ahead? Because with every decision, a new journey began. Jake stared at his phone, the message pulling him in two directions like a frayed rope. The screen lit up with a simple invitation to a reunion, the kind he had always avoided. His mind raced a reunion filled with old faces and even older memories. Would they still see him as the kid they'd once ridiculed, or could they see the man he'd become? Megan popped her head closer, her curiosity palpable. What is it about? You can't just leave us hanging. He hesitated, glancing back at his classmates, their excitement about his new role swirling with his anxiety. It's from the old crowd. They want me to come to the reunion. Matt raised an eyebrow, crossing his arms. And what is stopping you? The past, Jake replied, his voice barely above a whisper. It's like a ghost. I've tried to bury it, but that is the thing, Matt interrupted. You built something real. Why let their shadows control your future? Something in Matt's words ignited a flicker of defiance inside him. He thought about the moments of laughter, the sting of isolation, the achingly silent halls of his high school days, every memory buried yet living somewhere deep. Jake, it could be a chance to show them who you are now, Megan urged, her eyes alight with encouragement. A small voice in the back of his mind urged him to accept the invitation, to face whatever emotions awaited him. But what if it all goes wrong? He countered. What if they only see me? The you who raised himself up, who didn't he let the past define him, she said firmly. The you who is about to lead something big. Jake's heart pounded, the threads of uncertainty weaving tighter. Maybe this was the moment. Maybe he couldn't just dodge the ghosts of yesterday. Perhaps it was time to confront them, to break the chains of doubt with an act of bravery. In that space, filled with energy and shimmering hope, he made his choice. "I'll go," he declared, surprising even himself with the steadiness in his voice. A murmur of approval swept through the room as his friends beamed at him. "Yeah, that's what I'm talking about," Matt shouted, punching the air in celebration. "Just think about all the shocked faces," Megan added, a teasing smile on her lips. "Right," Jake replied, allowing them to lift his spirits. Riling himself up with their excitement felt good, better than he'd imagined. Yet deep down, his nerves bubbled like a hot spring restless to explode. As the weeks leaped by, Jake began to prepare not just for what to say, but for the endless moments of awkward silence or misplaced judgment from old acquaintances. He practiced his smile, rehearsed his confidence, and envisioned the reactions. Still, late at night, thoughts spiraled out of control. What if they laughed? What if they didn't recognize the person he'd become? His pulse raced at the thought of old insults lingering like a bad taste he couldn't wash away. Then a message from the reunion organizer broke through the chaos of his mind. "Looking forward to seeing you, Jake. It's been a while." A small part of him hoped some old friends felt nostalgic, while another part dreaded the idea of being a spectacle or a display. But as Jake looked at himself in the mirror, he steeled his resolve. "This is my chance. Their opinions don't define me," he reminded himself. Finally, the day arrived. Jake stood in front of the venue, his heart pounding like the beat at a concert. Memories flashed: high school lunches, whispered rumors, the laughter that felt cruel. He took a deep breath and stepped inside. The room buzzed with familiar voices and faces aged by time. But he was no longer the invisible boy. He was ready to be seen for who he had become. As he entered, he caught a glimpse of Megan and Matt waiting for him in the back, cheering him on with their eyes. But a familiar laugh turned his focus. A group from his past, speaking animatedly near the bar, their laughter piercing through him like a neon sign. Jake was about to approach them when he felt a firm hand on his shoulder. It was Sarah, her expression a blend of support and concern. "You ready for this?" A smile crept onto his face. "Let us find out." But as they walked toward the group, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that some secrets were waiting to be unearthed, ready to change everything he thought he knew about himself and those who had once judged him. Would he finally confront the past or let it go? The air thickened with anticipation as he stepped closer to a moment that could redefine his journey. Jake glanced back at Sarah, her eyes steady and encouraging. He marveled at how different this felt. In high school, he had dreaded moments like these, the weight of judgment heavy on his shoulders. Now, he could feel the pulse of excitement mixed with fear coursing through him. As they moved closer to the bar, Jake's heart beat louder, drowning out the background noise. He could now see them clearly. Tony, the ringleader of the popular crowd, laughing with his friends as if time hadn't moved at all. Memories came flooding back. The taunts, the whispers, the shoving that felt like an avalanche back then. "Looks like Jake showed up after all," Tony's voice rang out, dripping with mock surprise. The laughter around him surged. It was like a punch to the gut. Jake's instinct was to turn back, to retreat to the safety of his friends, but he felt Sarah's grip tighten on his shoulder. "You can handle this," she whispered, her voice a steady anchor. "Thanks," he muttered, feeling a surge of courage washing over him, as if the years of building himself up had finally led to this moment. "Yeah, I guess I finally graduated from loser to someone," Jake managed, his bravado surprising even himself. The laughter subsided, replaced by a mix of curiosity and disbelief, and he suddenly felt the room shift. It wasn't just about him anymore. "Wait, are you actually doing well?" Tony asked, disbelief painting his features. The group looked at him, no longer the underdog, but the man standing before them. "I've done a few things, and I'm not ashamed to share it," Jake replied, allowing a hint of confidence to bleed into his voice. But let us not pretend this is a reunion for the nice memories. The silence hung for a heartbeat. Jake held his breath, sensing the tension of the moment. All those years of feeling like a ghost, crushed by judgment, it suddenly became fuel. The pang of memories that once held him back morphed into a strength that caught fire inside him. "What is it you do now?" one of the girls piped up, skepticism written all over her face. "I'm leading a tech startup. It's doing pretty well." "So yeah, I guess I'm not a loser anymore," Jake replied, meeting her gaze head-on. Their eyes widened. He could see the wheels turning, the flickers of doubt creeping in. This was new territory for them all. Megan and Matt stepped closer, their smiles bright and reassuring. The sense of unity among them bolstered Jake. "It's true, Jake has built something really impressive," Matt added, before giving Jake a supportive nod. But as Jake shared snippets of his success, he felt a pull of doubt again. Was it merely bravado? What would happen when the attention shifted? Would they just sink back into old habits of dismissal and ridicule? He steeled himself, pushing those thoughts aside. "I turned that negativity into motivation," Jake said, feeling the energy in the room thrum with potential. "And if I've come this far, maybe we all should be looking back at our past with lessons learned instead of mockery," Sarah suggested. Her voice cut through the heavy air, strong and clear. It was a moment of hope, a glimmer of transformation. The past didn't have to define this reunion. Maybe they could rewrite the narrative. Jake continued to speak, sharing snippets of his journey, the challenges he overcame, the risks he took. And to his surprise, the laughter changed. It wasn't mocking. It was genuine curiosity. Questions started to flow, and the atmosphere began to shift. As the group leaned in, he caught Tony's gaze again, but it was different this time, no longer dismissive. "Hey, it sounds like you've really done it." "Kudos, man," he said finally, extending a hand. Jake took it, a tentative smile breaking the tension. But just then, a familiar face from a darker chapter of his past entered the room. It sent a chill down his spine, the air thickening with unsaid words and unhealed wounds. Would he be able to explain his success to someone who once belittled him the most? As the moment approached like a storm, Jake's heart raced. Could he confront them without being pulled back into shadows of his past? The tension loomed, heavy and real, as he braced for what was to come next. Jake's heart thudded in his chest as he turned slowly, scanning the room. A knot formed in his stomach. There she was. Lily, the girl who had orchestrated so much of his torment, the whispers, the rumors, the laughter. Her presence felt like a scream amidst a growing silence, a chill cutting through the newfound warmth he had just begun to feel. For a moment, everything faded into the background. The laughter, the chatter, the clinking of glasses all faded to white noise as he locked eyes with her. Lily was just as beautiful as he remembered, her brown hair cascading in soft waves, her smile still captivating. But it was the familiarity in her gaze that shook him. It was a mixture of surprise and something more. Was it guilt? "Jake?" she breathed, and the room seemed to shift on that single word. The friendliness around him waned, replaced by a palpable tension. "Yeah, it's me," he replied, his voice steadier than he felt. There was no use pretending now. This wasn't just another high school memory popping back up. This was someone who had shaped his past in terrible, traumatic ways. "You look different," she said, her tone hovering somewhere between uncertainty and an attempt at sincerity. "Different how?" he challenged, the edge creeping into his words. "Better? Successful? All the things you and your friends never thought I could be?" A few gasps floated through the crowd as Jake's words took shape. It felt liberating to say them, to put his truth on display. He caught Megan's eye, and she offered him an encouraging smile. It felt good to have her there, grounding him. Lily shifted her weight, clearly caught off guard. "I never thought you would actually come. I mean, after how things were, yeah. Well, life isn't always about high school. Jake cut her off, the heat rising in his cheeks. Some of us move on. Her expression flickered. I guess I never thought I'd see you in this light successful. Why are you here, Lily? He pressed, more intensely this time. You didn't exactly make it easy for me back then. Lily's gaze softened. I know. I was awful. I'm sorry, Jake. I wasn't. I was young and stupid. It felt like the cool thing to do at the time. As her words hung in the air, Jake felt a wave of mixed emotions crash over him. Did she really mean it? Did he want to accept her apology? In high school, he had yearned for this moment, a chance to confront her. But now? Now that he was standing in his own truth, the need for revenge evaporated, replaced with something that made him uneasy compassion. I appreciate that, he said slowly, but apologies don't change the past. I know, she admitted, her voice trembling slightly. But maybe they can help create a better future? Jake thought about it. A better future, wasn't that what he was trying to do here? Wasn't this whole reunion about moving forward? But could he really let go of the past so easily? Maybe, he replied, looking away from her and back at the crowd surrounding them. But it's not just up to me. It's up to all of us. We each have our part to play. The crowd buzzed with curiosity, the tension bubbling down into whispers. Would they align with him? Could this be a moment of real change? I really am sorry, Lily said again, stepping closer, vulnerability etched on her face. I hope you can find it in your heart to forgive me. Jake felt the room tilt slightly. A part of him wanted to say yes, but the weight of the past held him in place until he saw Sarah, her unwavering support still beside him. I'll think about it, he finally said, his voice steady. The future felt uncertain, the air electric. As the conversation shifted around him, Jake knew this wasn't over. There was still work to do, still stories to tell, still shadows to confront. And just as this moment of confrontation flickered between hope and anxiety, he sensed another shift in the room, a new voice, someone decisively pushing through the crowd. What would they say? Would they bring more discomfort or another chance for connection? Jake's breath hitched as he braced himself for what was yet to come. The crowd parted like a wave, and the voice that cut through the tension was unmistakable. It was Dylan, Jake's former friend turned bully. He sauntered in, confidence radiating from him, a smirk plastered across his face. The atmosphere that had been charged with vulnerability shifted again, pulling everyone's attention toward this new, unexpected player in the reunion drama. Well, if it isn't the prodigal loser, Dylan announced, his voice dripping with mockery. Look at you, Jake. Thought you could just show up and everyone would forget? His laughter rang hollow but loud enough to provoke gasps among the crowd. Jake's heart sank. The warm moment he had just shared with Lily felt like it was being overshadowed by this blast from his past. He felt the coolness creep back in, a reminder of old wounds. His hands balled into fists, anger bubbling just under the surface. Dylan, Jake said, forcing the name through clenched teeth. Maybe you should take a seat. This isn't the time or place for your stale jokes. Oh, but it's the perfect time, isn't it? Dylan shot back, taking a step closer, his gaze piercing. Look at everyone's faces. They want to know how you went from nobody to somebody. Or was it just luck? Around them, whispers ignited, the crowd aching for more drama. Jake felt the heat of his emotions rising, threatening to explode out of him. But then, he looked over at Megan and Sarah. They looked at him, a blend of encouragement and concern in their eyes, urging him to rise above. It took a lot for me to move on, Dylan, Jake replied, trying to keep his tone measured. But you wouldn't know anything about that, would you? You just skate by on the back of your childish taunts, still acting like a high school kid who never grew up. The crowd shifted as they absorbed Jake's words. Laughter followed, buoyed by camaraderie and shared memories of Dylan's antics. Dylan's bravado cracked for a moment. "So you made a few bucks. Doesn't he mean you're worth anything more than you were back then?" His smirk faltered, replaced with an edge of anger. "We all know you weren't cut out for this world." "I've learned that worth is more than money, Dylan," Jake exclaimed, surprise fueling his growing conviction. "It's about how you treat people. The impact you leave behind. That's something you've always missed, isn't it?" There was a shift in the crowd, the tension beginning to morph into contemplation. Jake felt a surge of hope. Maybe this was a turning point not just for him, but for everyone who had been caught in the nets of their past. "You think embarrassment has a place here?" Dylan scoffed, trying to regain the control he felt slipping. "You're dreaming if you think I'm scared of you now." "No, but you should be scared of what you'll miss out on if you can't change," Jake shot back, emotion rising in his chest. "Life is bigger than high school gossip and bullying. It's about redemption. It's about connection." Murmurs flowed through the crowd, showing signs of agreement, and Jake felt emboldened. A flicker of confusion danced across Lily's face. "Is that what you really believe?" she asked, stepping forward. "Can you really move past everything?" Jake met her gaze, feeling the weight of her question. "I want to," he said, the sincerity in his voice surprising even him. "But it takes more than just wishing, doesn't it?" Just as silence fell upon them, the door swung open again. This time, a figure Jake recognized walked in. Natalie, his best friend from high school, the one person he thought would never show up to this reunion. His pulse quickened. What had she come for? And where would this lead them next? Could she be the key to healing these open wounds, or would her arrival ignite even more turmoil? Jake's heart raced as he absorbed the scene around him. The real work was just beginning. Jake's breath caught, and he felt the surge of disbelief at Natalie walking through the door. In high school, they were inseparable before everything changed. He hadn't seen her in years. Would she offer him solace, or would seeing her bring back memories he tried to bury? As she scanned the room, Jake sensed the atmosphere shift again. Curious faces turned towards her. She stood there, a blend of hesitation and determination, taking it all in. "Jake?" she called out, voice steady yet unsure. The crowd fell silent, their attention shifting entirely to this surprise arrival. "Nat." "Wow, I didn't think you would be here," he replied, his heart racing. "It's been a long time." "I know. I wasn't sure if I should come, but I had to see you," she said, stepping forward. The warmth in her gaze made Jake's heart swell. "I heard about your success. I'm really proud of you." "Thanks, but it's not just about me. This place, this crowd, the past weighs heavy," Jake admitted, glancing at the faces around him, still processing his confrontation with Dylan. "I heard about everything," she said, tilting her head slightly. "And I know it's a lot to handle. But you have changed so much, Jake. It's inspiring to see you stand up for yourself." A small spark of hope ignited inside him. Maybe now, with her supportive presence, he could make a real difference. "I'm trying to make sense of everything. There are so many wounds from high school still festering. It's not easy to move on," he admitted, feeling the urge to pour his heart out. To his surprise, she nodded, sympathy dripping from her voice. "That's why you can't shy away from this moment. It's your chance to show them what true growth looks like." With that, Jake felt the crowd leaning in again, the electric hum of anticipation returning. He took a deep breath, summoning courage. "You're right, Nat. I've carried these burdens for too long." He glanced back at Dylan, standing smugly, still refusing to yield. "You make a choice every day. To rise above. Or to hide away in the shadows of yesterday." Dylan opened his mouth, trying to retort, but the crowd didn't allow it. The murmurs of approval echoed. It felt different this time, like a collective awakening amidst the old insecurities. I invite everyone to be honest, just like I'm trying to be, Jake continued, feeling the warmth of bravery spread through him. We're not who we were back then. We have all grown, and it's time to acknowledge that. With newfound energy, he spoke confidently now. I want to know how you've changed too. I want to hear your stories, not just the ones that made us laugh, but the struggles too. Because who we are today is what matters. Dylan scrunched his face, unsure of how to respond, caught off guard by the route this conversation had taken. But the room stayed alive, a wave of vulnerability filling the air where once there had been fear. Megan took the cue. Jake's right. We all have scars from our past, but we can choose to grow together. What do you say, guys? Let us make new memories. The crowd buzzed with growing enthusiasm, eyes lighting up with the excitement of hope and transformation. And let us let go of what we've held onto for too long, Natalie added. Healing starts with forgiveness. It starts here. Jake felt the collective hope swell, stronger than any laughter from days before. For the first time, the laughter felt like it could turn into something better. Suddenly, he looked at Dylan, who stood there, blinking. What do you really want, Dylan? Jake asked, locking eyes with him. Do you want to keep being defined by who you were, or rise up with us? For a moment, Dylan faltered. The confidence seemed to dissipate slowly, revealing a flicker of uncertainty. I don't know, man. It's just, everything feels different now. Different can be good, Jake prompted. You can choose to be more than what you were. We all can. Together. And then, the unexpected happened. Dylan, after what seemed like an eternity, held out his hand. Okay. I'll try. For real. Gasps echoed through the crowd. Jake, surprised, took his hand, and warmth surged through him. It was a sign of something that could turn this night into an unforgettable moment. Lily stepped forward, her face lit with resolve. I want to be part of that too. I've been ashamed. But I want to change. We can be friends this time, right? Her hope sparked a new energy, one that branched out into the crowd. Absolutely, Jake replied, feeling something shift in the air. The emotional tide rose as more voices joined in, thoughts of regret staining the edges of their narratives, but tempered by a desire to move forward together. With every apology, the healing began. Jake felt as if they were peeling layers off an old canvas, exposing something vibrant beneath. Finally, he turned to the crowd. Remember this moment, he urged, voice rising with conviction. Tonight isn't just about us facing our past. It's about choosing to rewrite our future as a community. Let us hold each other accountable. Let us support and uplift one another. The applause erupted, louder than he expected. Familiar faces glimmered with love, acceptance, and a promise to root for one another as they stepped forward, hand in hand, toward brighter horizons. As Jake stood in the center of the room, he realized the transformation was taking place not just for him, but for everyone. This reunion wasn't just about past lives colliding. It was about building a new narrative that honored every struggle while celebrating every victory. And in that moment, under the pulsing rounds of applause, Jake found himself free from the ghosts of yesterday. Hope glimmered in the air, true hope, the kind that made hearts lift. This was just the beginning. Now, let us take this momentum forward together. You need to subscribe immediately to catch the next exclusive stories of transformation and triumph. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep stories like this alive. Comment below your reactions and feelings about the ending. Your voice matters. And please, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share and support the channel. You are part of this journey with us.